Good morning. I'm actually going to deal with a subject that I've dealt with previously, but this is one that touches each of our lives, and it's something that we need to look at again and again, in my opinion. The title is Creating from Love or Fear, Truth or Wishful Thinking. Peter Van Runt's videos about the OPPT and co-creation have blessed me and produced a good deal of introspection. This was especially true in the video he made yesterday dealing with creating from a place of fear. His message is common to me, having been in the New Thought community for so long. Basically, the thought is that if we create from fear, we get what we fear. Intellectually, I get it. Spiritually and emotionally, I see a problem. I am experiencing myself as a human being living on a planet that has long been immersed in fear. With my belief system, that fear is an enemy. Or with my belief system, that fear is an enemy. I have spent more than a little time beating myself up for feeling afraid or denying that I was even feeling fear. When I do either, I am living in fear. When I tell the truth about what I am feeling, I move from fear to love, even though it is fear that I'm feeling. Love and truth go together. Trying not to feel fear in this world is wishful thinking. I got to add a word that I didn't put in. Okay. I sometimes do that, I type something and I'm thinking the word, but my fingers don't do the typing. and uh, and sometimes I dictate into the machine and it doesn't hear me correctly, and it makes mistakes that I didn't make because it doesn't hear me right. Anyway, that's not what it's about. That's an interjection. As I said, Peter Van Runt's initial video that he did, which was almost an hour and a half long, an hour and 26 minutes or something like that, if I remember correctly, was inspiring to see another human being speaking from the pure love of his heart. And I mean, his passion, his sincerity, his wisdom was coming out completely, and it still is. He's made a few videos since then, and I think it's remarkable. He's a beautiful human being, and we live on a planet where we're recognizing the beauty in each other, and this is amazing. It's amazing to me how around the world we are connecting and resonating with people of the heart. It's a beautiful thing. It really is a beautiful thing. But in his video yesterday, he talked about something that has been a concern of mine and probably a lot of people for a very long time. We are told again and again by channelers and New Thought people and New Age proponents and even certain Christian circles, and we are told by psychologists and everything else that when we create from fear, we get what we fear. And the Bible verse in Job comes to me. He's sitting there on the garbage dump, basically, and he's lost everything. And he said, "That which I greatly feared has come upon me." And that's a powerful verse. It's one that I've thought of many, many times in my life, back when I was very much involved in the Bible and Christianity and very active in church. Fear has always been something that I'm aware of. And when I got into the New Thought philosophies, I went through the beating myself up stage, as I said, and I went through the denial stage. The truth is, every day, especially since my arrest on May the 27th last year, when the policeman tackled me in my own home, entered my home without permission, grabbed me, handcuffed me, and took me to jail for a few hours. Ever since then, fear is present with me when I think about people trying to steal from me, my home, and other things. It's easy to say, don't be afraid, when there's no external force or external whatever coming after you for something. But every single one of us, I don't care who you are, if you were, say you were in the jungle and a lion or tiger or something started coming after you full speed, what would you do? What would you do? Would you just sit down and let it keep coming? Would you try to run? What would you feel in that moment? Whenever, folks, whenever as human beings something is threatening us, fear is a normal response. Now, I'm not suggesting that we should constantly live our lives fearfully. When we do that, we will create what we fear. I am suggesting, however, that we live our lives honestly, not denying what we feel. There are no negative emotions, except those emotions that we deny. They become negative because we're not honoring them, and we're not honoring the little child, if you will, within us who feels those things very deeply, whether it's sadness, even if it's anger. There are no negative emotions if we live in a place of truth, and a place of love, and a place of acceptance. We feel all the emotions. The enlightened person doesn't diminish the ability to feel by negating feelings that are labeled negative. That's the problem. We label them negative and try to avoid and deny them. That's the problem. We're not in truth. We're not living authentically. I feel fear, especially when an external threat seems real. It may not be real, as in the case with them trying to come after my house. But I know they've taken the homes of many people. And I know they do it unlawfully, though it's legal. And there's a difference between lawful and legal, for those of you that don't know. Legal means the system that they've created of fraud that enables them to do unlawful things and get away with it, hiding behind the cloak of non-accountability, the cloak of immunity. The system does that all the time, every day. And that's the world we live in. It's really easy to sit in judgment of those that feel fear and say you're not supposed to be afraid. Well, if fear is what you're feeling, it's what you're feeling. Spend time with it. Now, I'm fortunate because I have the angels and I have my dreams, and I'm connected to a lot of people and a lot of beings on invisible realms that enable me to gain a perspective that is healthy. God, if you will, gives me an abundance of grace which I claim for myself when I fall short, to allow myself to be fully human and not beat myself up for the shortcomings and the frailties of my human consciousness and my human existence. That consciousness is changing. It's changing for all of us. But we're in a process, and I'm trying my best with today's video to encourage you. When you hear things like Peter's thing, it's the natural tendency. There's a natural tendency to say, oh God, I don't want to create that, so I've got to, I can't be afraid. I can't be afraid because then I'll get what I fear. Yeah. It's a mind fuck, isn't it? Excuse the expression, but it really is. We do that to ourselves a lot. I know we do because I'm in groups. I'm not going to go to the Mystics in Training class today because I have to get some legal stuff taken care of again. And today's the day I've got to do it. But I've seen how I've listened to stories of people, how they play this game of either beating themselves up or denying their actual feeling, because you're not supposed to feel negative emotions. Who said you're not? We're in this world. We're going to feel the negative emotions. We're going to feel them. And fear is not an enemy. I want you to understand. Fear, anger, sadness, grief, these are not enemies. They are not enemies. They are friends. All that we have in our arsenal, in our tool bag, are friends if we put it in the proper perspective. Love embraces everything. Truth tells the truth. This is what I'm feeling. And we don't have to stay there. We can go and we can spend time with our sadness, our grief, our fear, our anger. Spend time with it. Find a way to let it move. And it does move. It moves and it transforms naturally. Naturally. But when we fight it, when we resist it, when we deny it, then it clings because it's not getting proper attention. It's being stopped. Energy or emotions are energy in motion. And when we stop the flow by whatever process, then it becomes a problem for us. That's when we create what we fear, when we're not allowing ourselves to be real, genuine, when we're not allowing ourselves to be true to ourselves and tell ourselves the truth. We lie first to ourselves and then to others. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. Hey, we live in a world that there have been a lot of things happen to people, things that really happen. Not imagined, not make-believe. They really happen. And they're fearful things. People have been murdered. People have been beat up. People have been robbed. And it happens every day. We're changing that from our heart. But the heart is capable, as I said, of loving and loving and loving and foreseeing things from a new perspective. And that's what's happening with the OPPT, the CVAX, and all the transformation that's going on this planet. It's creating a seed change and a flood change of consciousness as we become more and more honest and more aware of the reality of our situation, realizing that we are always more than what appears. That's all I'm going to say today, even though I haven't even gotten to 15 minutes yet. Thank you for listening, and namaste.